Hi, everybody.
Hey.
This is the February 9th meeting of the CCGC, and present we have the whole committee, myself, Mary Jo, Frank Pappalardo, Jim Lampos, Bonnie Reeves-Snyder, and Eric Olson. And we have Tim Griswold and Kurt Prochron from DSC here. I don't see anyone at this point from the public. If there's anyone there, do you want to holler? Okay, so I guess we'll move on to our project update. And it's really exciting today. We're kind of crossing our fingers that we've had some good news to discuss. And Tim signed off on the municipal form for the project that was required by DOT, and Kurt added that in the easement to the package of their bid documents and final plans, and they went in on January 31st. And surprisingly, we got our okay late Friday, last Friday, the 5th, that we were given approval to advertise. So that was really exciting. So we should all be really happy about that. Kurt immediately then set out to get the prevailing wage, which I think you all guys remember from our previous discussion. They change it monthly, so he wants to get the most current version. So he's still waiting to get that, and as soon as we get that piece, then our package will be complete, and we can begin advertising. Michelle Hayes in the Selectman's office was able to squish the invitation to bid down so that it's less expensive, but it's still readable. So that's the good news. We don't have to do any creative writing, so I was really happy about that. The first version was just a copy of the invitation to bid, which we all saw, and it's a lot of spacing. And so you just squish it down, it took off like $200, so it's nice. She did a good job. And any questions on that? Okay. Kurt, do you want to take us through where we're at then as far as working with SEAL and next steps and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could, I'll share my screen. I just have a pretty simple schedule that I could sort of use as a guide as we walk through. So now that we've received DOT approval, essentially their approval says that we are able to go out to bid. As Mary Jo indicated, the one item that we're waiting for is the prevailing wages. And the reason that we had to wait is that you have a specified window in which you can select those. And we have run into issues with the past when we select them early and then something gets held up and then they expire. So then you have to resubmit, and we've found that it's better to just wait till you know you can go out. So I'm hoping to actually get those, if we're lucky, this week. Depending on when those come in, some of these dates may get adjusted, and we planned on that, and we're ready to adjust them. It's set up so we can adjust them very easily. But let's assume that everything holds true. So we have the bid documents being available on the 16th, and those will be available at SEAL in Old Saybrook. A set of bid documents will be available at the town for review only. In other words, people won't be able to take them. They'll just be there for them to look at. And I'll deliver those once we firm up the dates. I'll do that very quickly. Then, assuming the bid documents are available on the 16th, we have a pre-bid meeting down at the project site, meeting at the Shoreline Community Center on the 19th. We always want to give folks a few days to be able to look at the documents and whatnot before the pre-bid. And then a few key dates. We have our deadline for any requests for information from bidders, March 10th by 4 p.m. And then BSC will issue the last addenda. There could be more than one, but the last addenda would be March 12th by 4 p.m. And because SEAL maintains a list of all of the folks that have picked up plans. I will be in constant communications with Seal, and I will get the email list of everybody that has pulled plans from their plan room, and that email list will get notified that it's the last addenda, and that usually they're pretty short. We could just attach it to the email, but it will also be provided to Seal as part of the complete package that they have. And then March 16th, 2 p.m., that's when the bids are open. So we have worked on clarifying for bidders, because of the pandemic, that they can mail in bids, but that if they're going to drop bids off, there's going to be a sign posted at Town Hall. And we just wanted to make sure it's to the project's benefit that everybody have a chance to submit their bid. And we didn't want to have a situation where somebody showed up at Town Hall, went to a door and it was closed, and it's literally 1:55. We want them to be able to get their bid in. So there'll be very simple signs just saying, community connectivity project, please go to, front door or something like that. The bids will be received there, and then there'll simply be just a list of the bids received. Each bid obviously gets stamped with the date and time. Then we have our bid opening, and there'll be a tally of the bids. We are requesting 2 hard copies and a thumb drive, and that's to save effort on scanning and those kinds of things. The thumb drives will come to me. I'll do my bid review, and I'll write a letter to the town, and the bid review essentially looks at we look at all the bids, but really we do the detailed review of the 3 lowest bids. And essentially what we're doing is looking at those 3 low bids, and relative to the apparent low bidder, we are looking for any reason where that low bidder, or I should say the apparent low bidder, would be disqualified. So in the absence of information indicating that the apparent low bidder should be disqualified, we include that in our letter. They become the apparent low bidder formally at that point. They get notified. Then there's a few things that happen. There's a scope review that takes place. Once we pass the scope review, assuming everything is good, as you can see, we have March 30th as a contract award date. So between March 16th and March 30th is when we're wrapping up all those things, transitioning from the bidding period to the contracting period. Also included in that period is making sure that they're submitting their bonds, performance bond, payment bond, insurance. If they have questions or clarifications on the contract, that's when they would ask the questions. And the contract is included in the bid documents. And the reason we do that is to give folks an opportunity to look at it at the time of bid. All those things come together in that time period. And then the pending date, this could move back or forth, but it's the targeted date, March 30th. That's when you actually literally sign your contract, and now you have a contractor on board. Once the contractor's on board, we're targeting April 5th. And again, it's assuming he needs some time to line things up, get mobilized, etc. Proposed start date, April 5th. Substantially complete by May 28th. And then finally complete with acceptance about a month later. It's 4 weeks to sort of wrap up little things, close out paperwork, et cetera, by June 30th. And at that point, pretty much done. The only remaining things could be some administrative items that aren't really related to physical work out at the site, paperwork and those kinds of things. So that's the timeline moving forward.
Kurt, I might suggest that as they bring the bids in, we can have our greeter at the front door. There is only one door to come in. Direct them to the selectman's office, and Michelle Hayes can log them in and do all that at the selectman's office. I presume that on the 16th for the bid opening, we would read the bids open the bids and read them and not make any comment at that point, right?
Yeah, whatever your standard bid opening procedure is, that's very typical that you'll just log them in. Confirm that they were received by the bid opening deadline, date, time, and then that's correct. Essentially just acknowledge the bid is here. Here's the bid price. Here are the prices for the alternates. Typically, it's put into a spreadsheet, and that's about it.
But would if bidders wish to be present for the opening at the meeting hall, we can accommodate up to 25 people. What is your posture on having bidders present for the opening?
Yeah, if they want to be there, you have to allow them to be there because it is a public bid opening.
Okay, so we can set that up in the meeting hall quite easily, which is adjacent to the entry door.
Right.
Perfect.
And Tim, I don't know if you saw the email. I did ask our attorney's input on that, that as long as everyone follows the governor's orders of masking up, and that we keep distance and within our requirements in the hall, that he is difficulty with having an in-person bid opening, as well as the pre-bid walk. Also, we plan to put the bid documents that they come in to review in the hallway where our greeter is, so that he can make sure that only 2 people, for example, at a time are in there looking at the documents.
You talking about the bid opening?
No, if contractors want to come in and actually see the documents, see the bids, see the plans, when they come in, they'll be in the hallway in the foyer by the greeter, so he can just make sure that only 2 people at a time, for example, are viewing the documents. We had a discussion maybe 10 days ago with Michelle Noren on that whole process. And I think Michelle Hayes was out. She was invited to. I think you're on the email just to kind of walk through that logistical thing.
Okay.
Bonnie.
That sounds like a good plan, having everything right there. But it looks to me like the schedule between March 16th and April 5th is tight. I realize it's a fairly small project, but are you comfortable with that tight a schedule, Kurt? And if we run into any questions when you're doing the review of the bids, is there any room for extension of that, or is that against rules to change that slightly if we need an extra day?
Yeah, it absolutely can be changed. Both March 30th and April 5th are what I'll call floating dates or targeted dates. So we absolutely have the ability, if things slide, maybe things will go really well and it'll be even before March 30th, but we absolutely have the flexibility. Really, our target date that we're aiming towards is May 28th. So I'm going to operate under the assumption the sooner we can get these guys started, the better. We'll do the best we can. And if anything does pop up, we'll try to address it very quickly. Just so it is a tight time frame.
Yeah,
so we're really
I think it can be done. I just think that unforeseen things, which how much can be unforeseen in this kind of a project, but nonetheless, those things happen. So as long as it's flexible, I think
definitely
and I also think as long as we all understand, because I think April 5th to March to May 28th is a good amount of time to get this substantially complete. That looks like a good amount of time to me, but from the opening to the start of construction does look tight.
And I do want to confirm in speaking with DOT, because I had a specific question about the dates that we put in some of the paperwork. They said, we totally understand that there are things that happen that dates can change. So even the construction start, substantially complete, and the completed and accepted dates, he said, use your best judgment based on the information you have now. He said, you're not going to be in trouble or something if one of those dates changes. We understand. So there's no pressure from DOT in that regard. Obviously, the big concern is summer season, traffic increases, et cetera. We want to get these folks done and cleared out before the season really gears up.
Right. Thank you.
Are you going to need any assistance with reference checks on any of the bidders and so forth?
No, usually what we'll do, again, we look at the 3 low bidders, so we can make those phone calls. The one beneficial thing too is that all these bidders are pre-qualified by DOT. So we already know that the folks bidding on this have met a certain bar, a certain level of capability, quality, et cetera, that they've been pre-qualified by DOT. So that's a very good thing.
So basically, Kurt, when after you completed your review and analysis, your letter that you send back to town hall will basically say exactly what you did and include the references checked and all of that.
Yep, that's right. And we'll turn that around. My plan is to turn it around in 48 hours, really, really quick.
Okay.
And in fact, I think Michelle said she would drop the thumb drives off at my house.
She did. Yeah.
So then I can, and there's an example where we want to move through this as quickly as we can. To Bonnie's point, if there was an issue with the low bidder, that something came out and we said, uh-oh, the low bidder, that could cause a delay, right? Because then we need to talk about, all right, do we have grounds to not accept that low bid? If everything goes smooth, I think we can move through this pretty quick.
Right.
Now, when we open the bids, obviously that'll determine how much we can do. So I guess it'd be a second stage after the bidder is selected to say, here's the project now. And I guess maybe some of the bid alternates will help refine that, but we would probably have to refine the scope of the project based on the bids.
Yeah, we will be looking, and this would happen prior to the scope review meeting. We would look at the alternates and at that time understand if we can afford the alternates or not. If we find that the base project, that the low bid exceeds the funding for the base project, then it's a bit of an issue. I would have to immediately call DOT and get their advice on that.
Because we have to subtract from the 400 certain known amounts that we have to commit to your fees and so forth. So,
Correct.
Yeah, it's not the full 400.
Just hope that people are hungry out there.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have a regular meeting, not a special meeting, but a regular meeting on March 9th. I was just checking that the day before the deadline for questions is currently scheduled for. So it might be interesting to see what we're getting at that point.
Yeah.
If you have any questions that we need to give you feedback before it goes out in the addenda, the timing.
Sure. Yeah, that's good.
I don't know. I guess we should just wait. We may want to do a special meeting in there to look at the project as a result of what we find with the bids in March. And I'll wait till April.
No.
Okay. Well, like you said, Bonnie, let's hope everyone's hungry.
Yeah.
And I know the last few times we've asked, has come up with Craig Babowitz, he's told me, and I know when Eric and I were online with him that one time, and then I think Kurt, you said the same thing, that the towns have found the bids to be good.
Yeah,
So
Yep.
let's keep our fingers crossed.
yes.
I really hope so, because this is the first one, when Bonnie and Frank and all went out for this, the highest amount that state gave us is 400, but now they're giving 600 as a result of learning in the process.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, are they?
okay.
I just
Good
read
to
that.
know.
I read that a couple of weeks ago too, Mary Jo. Yeah.
Yeah, so we, at one point, maybe it was, I think, Eric, when did we talk to Craig? Was that like in July or September?
Yeah, I think it was over the summertime. I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly, but I think it was.
Well, he and I both did our best to say, since you're giving out more now, and if people if they're in the first round, don't complete the projects, do we have a shot at getting their part of their 400? He said no. So we tried.
Or maybe a supplemental 200
Yes.
to bring
Yeah.
us up to current standards.
Right. You might have to. But he was honest. He said, they found following the first round that there were some things that they needed to take into account in order to have the towns be successful.
Well, let's see what the numbers come back at, and we'll have a better basis for discussion after that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
Curdy, you ever run a pool on the bids?
It's always a bit stressful, as we've talked about a lot. We use the DOT pricing that they publish, and they update it periodically. But the one thing we can't predict is the bid environment and contractors' workloads and those things. So it's always very stressful to get the bids, and boy, you just hope that they come in close to your estimate. But every once in a while, there's things that factor in that we just don't have the ability to predict, and sometimes you end up being off, and it can be frustrating if it impacts the project. At the very least, it's embarrassing. But yeah, let's hope the bids are, frankly, below what we estimated. Right? I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Any more discussion on the timelines and the bidding? Okay. Tim, have you heard anything on the fence agreement?
I sent the revised agreement out to the Port Lances, so hopefully they will not find issue with it and return it signed.
When did you send it about?
Basically, a couple of days ago, we went back and forth with some. It seemed to me that the agreement, on the one hand, said they can keep the fence, but on the other hand, it said the town could require its removal at any time for any reason. And I said, that's not going to go down too well. So he tweaked it a little more, and so hopefully this will be accepted properly by them.
Okay.
And I guess Butcher's still in the no column, but we can do our ordinance deal. And then the estate came through finally as well, so we're pretty well know where we are with everything.
Right. The only one we don't have a signed temporary access agreement is number 29, so Butchers. So and everybody else we have something, and That's good. And I think, Kurt, did you tell me Craig was happy about that? Something like that.
Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. We had a very good call prior to submittal of the documents where we went over some things, and he was just asking for an update about those. And it came from the discussion of the easement that I had told him we had and that he would get in the package. And yeah, he indicated that in his opinion, we did very well with the number of agreements that we needed. A little bit unusual for public infrastructure projects. So he was very happy that really we had about a 99% success rate. And he said, geez, we've had projects where they're not nearly as successful with those kinds of things. So he complimented everybody on our efforts and felt that we've done very well.
Got a bunch of nice people in Old Lyme. That's it.
Well, I have to second that. I think everybody worked really hard on that. It was a team effort, so thank you. Let's see. And oh, Tim, this is another question for you. Have you discussed with the town attorney, is he gotten your okay to work with Dime Bank on the Easy Mart subordination issue?
I better check with Michael. I think he knows we have the signed easement. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if he said in the email he'd do something. I'll check with him to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of lost the thread in December with all of that. But at that time, he said that that wasn't, he could do that after we got the signed easement, but that he just needed to be okay to go ahead and have the discussions with the bank, the attorneys at the bank. They have a simple form to sign off on. Okay. Great. Those are my kind of low-hanging questions. Anybody else have anything?
What was the date that it's actually going to get published?
We're targeting March 16th.
No, that's the award date.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong month. February 16th.
Okay, so that's the date the RFP will get published, right?
Yep, and that's pending receipt of the prevailing wages, so it could change.
And Frank, it's going to go in the DAS and on the website as well as the day.
Okay. Well, March 16th is my birthday, so we can.
Oh, almost St. Patrick's Day.
That's the 17th, right? Yeah.
I know.
And that'll be an exciting week. And the pre-bid on Friday, so that'll be.
There we are.
I'm putting that in the minutes.
Don't do that. Well, I'll wear green for St. Patty's Day for us at Mary Jo Kelly Nozel, right? It's Mary Jo Kelly, right? Yeah.
And my mother's birthday is the 17th. And she's a Ryan, so.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, birthdays are important, but I'll just move on. Let's see. Kurt, do we owe you any money? I'm checked. That's on my list. Are you all paid up?
That's a great question. I should probably check. So I will check and I'll send you an email.
Take your time.
All right. I guess if we don't have any more comments on the project per se, I'm going to move on to, well, let me just see, make sure there's nobody from the public. Nobody's in the public. Approve meeting minutes of January 12th. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Bonnie. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. Any comments, questions, updates? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Noes. Motion carried. The minutes are approved. Next meeting is, as I said, is March 9th, or the next regular meeting. If we have to do a special meeting, or if anyone feels like we should, just let me know. And if there's nothing else, motion.
So once Kurt gets the prevailing wages, automatically goes we set it in the paper. We don't have to have a meeting or anything to prove that.
Right, it was in the bid documents. The draft was in the bid documents. The only thing that will change since you guys saw it is the final dates will be added into it. Nothing's going to be changed except that I'm going to squish it up. Michelle's squishing it up so that it is a significantly cheaper legal notice. And then that gets printed. We send a copy to DOT so they know that we're actually advertising. And that's it.
Sounds good.
And if anything comes up, I'll just let you all know too.
Do we have anything set up after the 16th of March in terms of a meeting, or we just schedule that in March?
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting. We might want to do like a special meeting in there. There's nothing set up right now between March 9th and April.
Because the 16th is the bid. We're actually opening the 16th, and I guess we or agree on Kurt's recommendation.
You kind of cut out there, Jim.
I guess the process would be after the 16th of March when the bids are opened and Kurt's recommendation, we'd have to meet to discuss and accept that.
Yeah, that would probably be the week of the 22nd.
Okay.
Because if Kurt needs 2 days to do his analysis and get him the letter of the likely low bidder, so that would put us on the week of the 22nd. You guys want to tentatively schedule a special meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
I think we
Good
should, so we don't let any time slip in there and get that ball rolling and hopefully get the contractor going as soon as we can.
You just need 24 hours to notice a meeting, so you could kind of have one in mind and then closer to the event just to make sure rather than maybe post it already. I don't know which is better to wait or not.
I'm not that efficient, Tim.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to stick with a Tuesday? That would be the 23rd.
Hey,
That works.
And the afternoon is best for me.
Okay, you want to keep it at 4 then?
It's okay with everyone else.
Works for me.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. That's great. All right, so we'll have a tentative special meeting to evaluate where we're at after we get the bids on the 23rd at 4 o'clock. Great. Right.
I have a question, Mary Jo. It's Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Are we all going to be, or whoever can make it to the bid opening on the 15th, 16th? Is that allowed? I know Tim said about 25 people can be in the meeting room.
Where all the committee is welcome to be there. You don't have to. I could set it up so that you can listen to it on the phone if you want to, because we have the WebEx in there.
Okay.
It'd be nice to assume we have so many people bidding that a lot of people would be wanting to come in person, but chances are we probably won't have that many number there. But I'll set it up so that it'll be available on WebEx if you want to listen in. How's that?
Okay.
Any other questions? Guess I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Bonnie. Second?
Oh, I'll second that.
Thanks, Frank. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Aye.
Thank you, Kurt.
Great to
Thank
see
you.
everybody. Thank you.
We'll see you later,
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Hmm.